President Yoon-Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida sought deeper ties during their face-to-face meeting, marking the resumption of reciprocal visits, or so-called shuttle diplomacy between the two countries. For the outcome of the summit that are designed to take further steps to overcome bilateral disputes and strengthen their value-based partnership, we turn to our Oh Soo-young, who was at the press conference.
Seeking emotional reconciliation, South Korea and Japan are taking their next steps to overcome sensitive sticking points as the neighbours mend fences in the face of various geopolitical and economic challenges. At a joint press conference following their summit in Seoul, President Yoon-Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida on Sunday announced key measures to build trust and value-based cooperation.
우리 두 정상은 한일 관계 개선이 양국 국민에게 큰 이익으로 돌아온다는 점을 확인하고 앞으로도 더 높은 차원으로 양국 관계를 발전시켜 나아가는 데 합의했습니다.
Building on their March summit in Tokyo, Yoon and Kishida reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening trilateral cooperation with Washington against growing nuclear and missile threats from North Korea. They acknowledged their ongoing efforts to bolster security cooperation, including information sharing on North Korean missiles. The leaders also recognized joint efforts to launch a new economic security dialogue, youth exchange funding, and new cultural exchanges. Lauding the progress they made in just 2 months, they pledged to expand programs and scholarships for the future generation, as well as the number of flights between the two countries. The two then touched upon sensitive matters. Yoon and Kishida agreed on a South Korean inspection into the safety of the radioactive wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear plant, separate from the ongoing probe under the International Atomic Energy Agency. This comes amid the South Korean public's concern over Japan's plan to release the treated wastewater into the ocean. Japanese media have reported that a Korean inspection team will head to Fukushima on May 23rd. In another move to grow their value-based relationship, the two leaders also plan to visit a memorial park in Hiroshima this month to honor Korean victims of the atomic bomb in 1945, when Yoon attends the G7 summit there later this month upon Kishida's invitation. Both leaders said they looked forward to deepening their cooperation on broader global issues at the G7 meeting. Further adding to the mood of reconciliation, Kishida expressed his heartfelt sadness for the Korean victims of Imperial Japan's forced labour, who he said had to work under strenuous conditions. He also expressed appreciation for Yoon's efforts to overcome the bilateral dispute on compensating the victims.
Despite the historical context of our countries, I consider it my responsibility to continue to cooperate with President Yoon and South Korea toward the future, following the steps of our ancestors who have overcome difficult situations.
Marking the first time in 12 years that a Japanese leader has visited Seoul for a summit, Kishida's 2-day trip has put the so-called shuttle diplomacy in full swing, reciprocating Yoon's visit to Tokyo in March.
It seems there is more shuttling to come as the South Korean president heads to Hiroshima in less than 2 weeks, where he is also expected to hold a 3-way summit with Kishida and Joe Biden. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.